It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley. Today we are joined by Stephen Dunn. He was the city manager of the city of Upland until 2014, and he was very involved in a campaign in Upland known as Measure U. And I wanted to bring him on to talk about it and kind of juxtapose it with Proposition 64. If I may, let me kind of set the stage. Proposition 64 would legalize the recreational use of marijuana. It passed overwhelmingly 56 to 44 in California. It passed in San Bernardino County, where Upland is, by about 51 to 49. It was close.
Yes.
At the same time, Upland had on its ballot Measure U. What was Measure U?
Measure U was a measure to allow 3 legal medical marijuana facilities to operate in a very defined portion of the city limits of Upland. The city's been battling illegal dispensaries for a number of years, and so this was a citizens-backed initiative to do a tax and regulate and allow 3 dispensaries to operate.
And before we give away the ending on what happened with Measure U, I think it's fair to say that there was a segment of your fellow Uplanders that were vociferously opposed to Measure U.
That is correct. There was a very loud vocal group that put in a lot of effort to defeat the measure.
And many of them elected officials. They came on our show.
Yes.
And I mean, I could see it. They really were opposed to Measure U. For a variety of reasons. They were concerned about who was backing Measure U. They were concerned about the location of where the dispensaries were. Aside from the most vocal of opponents, what were you hearing, before we give away the ending, in terms of why folks were queasy about Measure U, which would legalize 3 medical marijuana clinics?
Queasy for a few reasons. One is that there's a lot of citizens that believe that marijuana is not really that existent in the community, and they looked at this as a way that it's bringing marijuana into the community.
Right.
And they're just, I would say, out of touch with what reality is in this day and age. The other is it was a citizen of Upland,
right,
who signed their names to the documents, but it was well known that it was a business owner,
right,
a specific business owner that was financing,
right,
the measure.
And he had been involved in adult entertainment, is that
correct,
right?
That is
right.
correct. And
so ultimately, as Prop 64 is passing statewide with 56% of the vote, as Prop 64 is passing in San Bernardino County with 51% of the vote, Measure U gets crushed.
yes.
35% in favor, 65% opposed. What's your sense as to what happened?
Well, first of all, it was who was backing the initiative. Measure U, we did the proper filings with the Political Practices Commission, so it made who was donating to the campaign transparent. And so when the reports started coming out, people started looking at the reports and they saw who was donating to it, then that became a big issue.
Right.
And then there's a lot of misinformation. There was words that it's a monopoly.
Right, I heard that.
Correct. And people won't take the time to really do their own research.
So here's the question. Recreational marijuana is now legal in California.
Correct.
Simultaneously, though, and I'm sure you know this given that you are a city manager, the city of Riverside had passed an ordinance banning medical marijuana facilities. And their ban went to the California Supreme Court, and it was upheld. So, there's no doubt that Upland could ban medical marijuana facilities.
Correct.
We now have legal marijuana, recreational marijuana. Do you have a sense, sir, as to whether the ban on medical marijuana facilities that's been upheld as a matter of land use will apply to recreational sales?
It will.
It will.
And not only that is the city of Upland went and amended their ban for this reason, for 64. They basically have banned anything to do with marijuana, the sales, the manufacture.
Indoor cultivation?
Indoor cultivation.
Outdoor cultivation?
Outdoor.
Delivery?
Everything, yes.
So
They call it a super ban.
So let's dig deep into that.
Yes.
And I don't know that there's any city in San Bernardino right now that allows for the sale of medical marijuana.
I'm not aware of any.
Yeah. So let's dig into that. You have someone that wants to purchase marijuana who lives in San Bernardino County. They're going to have to drive somewhere to do that. They may imbibe at that location.
Correct.
Maybe they'll then fall asleep because that can happen, or they'll go out and have some fast food. But be that as it may, is there not a concern? And I'm just playing it out that by forcing people to drive, you're now requiring them to drive back, and they may have imbibed. Probably shouldn't, but they may.
In my travels through this election,
Right.
There were a few people that had voiced that, but more people would be, go to somewhere like Santa Ana allows it now.
But how
And
far
so
is Santa Ana from Upland?
Probably 30 miles.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
this
that's-
traffic, it's probably 45 minutes.
And the spooky thing about marijuana as we speak today is it's very difficult to figure out kind of the THC level and apply it to the blood alcohol content level.
Correct.
I mean, I think they're working on that, but look, we don't know what stoned driving is yet.
Correct.
We don't have a sense of it. And so, look, Colorado legalized it, Washington, you can pick statistics out from all those places. But to play it out, sir, do you have a sense as to whether, 1, 2, 3 years down the line, maybe people will look at this and say, "Ugh, I don't know that we want people driving 30 miles.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And the reason why I
Really?
don't think so is because marijuana's been in our communities for a very long time. And so the stone driving has already been there.
But
Yes.
don't you think the numbers will spike now that recreational marijuana is legal?
That's been a concern when Measure U was being talked about. People think that was going to promote more marijuana use. And yes, I think people are going to try it, but I don't really see it increase. It's been so easy to get as it is.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
It's easy to get a card?
It's easy to get a card. I spoke at city council meetings, and I challenged them, and I spoke out in the community. I said,
Right.
anybody who wants it can have it in an hour.
Right.
And that means going through and getting a card and going to a dispensary and getting, a legal dispensary.
Right.
But you can go to your local park and probably find somebody to sell it to
Right.
you. And ask a high school student, even if they partake or not.
Yes.
Hey, do you know how to get it? Yeah, they do. It's been in the community for a long time.
So where do you anticipate Upland goes from here on this question? Think they dig their heels in and complete ban?
They've dug their heels in. They have the complete ban. As some of the city leaders have talked about, they're going to wait to see what the state does
Okay.
now that 64 has passed
Right.
and see what kind of regulation they're going to have.
I appreciate you joining us. His name is Stephen Dunn. He is the former city manager of the city of Upland in San Bernardino County. My name is Brad Pomerance on Charter Local Edition.